When it comes to women in politics, nationally, men hold far more elected offices than women. And here in the state of Utah, the gender gap is a bit wider than the national average.
But when it comes to the office of mayor, Utah cities, big and small, are electing a growing number of women. In tonight's 360 report, we hear from some of them and break down the numbers of women in Utah politics.
When women do run, they tend to win.
When it comes to Utah cities, only about 17% of them have a woman in the top job, according to the nonpartisan Women's Leadership Institute, whose CEO, Patricia Jones, spent 14 years in the Utah legislature.
We've trained about 250 women to run for some level of political office.
Why is it so important to have a woman's voice when it comes to leadership and politics?
When I was in the research business, we studied all kinds of issues over the years, and we found a huge gender gap on issues like education funding, for instance, healthcare, gun issues, environmental issues. You can just go down the line and you would see anywhere from 5% difference to upwards of 25% difference.
Truly, I've always been in a workforce that has been both genders.
Karen Lang became the first female mayor of West Valley City when she was sworn into office earlier this month.
So I've been very fortunate. I really have not had any stopping points because of gender.
While the number of female mayors is small, they can be found in some of Utah's biggest cities. Of Utah's 10 largest cities, 6 are led by women, including Provo, where Michelle Kafusi is beginning her second term as the town's first female mayor.
So I went over and found the wall of mayors, and there were 44 wonderful, strong male mayors on that wall and not a single woman. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna work really hard for 1 year and still maintain my other elected position and just see if I can break this glass ceiling, because I want my daughters and everyone's daughters to know that this is not just a boys' club.
When asked why she thinks more women don't run for office.
For a lot of women, we are really comfortable just hunkering down and supporting our little cove and neighborhood and our kids and our spouses. And we kind of get comfortable there. So to step out of that is uncomfortable.
And we represent 50% of the population. So it really makes sense that we're there at the table when we're making public policy, making laws.
Two-term Logan Mayor Holly Danes says now is the time for good women and men to step forward.
Way back when I started to run for council, there were 13 candidates, and these were good, qualified people who were running for 2 seats. Our last election, we had 3 candidates that ran for 2 seats. Unfortunately, we had good people, but again, I think the number of people across the board who want to get involved in politics is shrinking in this day and age.
It's an overcoming of sorts. I definitely think that the reason it's not more equal is basically an obstacle that doesn't exist. And I'm for other women, I want them to know that that is an obstacle you don't even need to think about. Just think about where you fit in, what you really want to do.
Molly Halterman is Parowan's first female mayor.
Really, the sky's the limit. If I want to stay here right on the ground, there are a lot of things I can do in effect. And if I want to move that, to a more county or more state or even more national interaction, those doors are open as well.
Perhaps Halterman or others will ascend to higher office in the future. Utah has never elected a woman governor. Olene Walker ascended to the position when Governor Mike Leavitt accepted a federal position, but her bid for a second term failed. And while Utah has elected 4 women to Congress in the past, the current delegation has no women, and there has never been a female senator from Utah.
Women look at things differently than men do.
Like other women in this story, the mayor of Gunnison is also a mom. But full disclosure, this one happens to be my mom.
I think it's really important that people serve for the right reasons.
Lori Ney is in her 3rd term, and she says even in rural Utah, women can still win elections.
I think it's a perceived barrier once you get into that arena, you find that it is a perfect venue for you to do the things that you care about in your community. It gives you a chance to do things that make a difference in other people's lives. And what a wonderful feeling that is when you can do something that makes a difference.
And for those intimidated by the process,
You don't have to have a certain set of qualifications to run for office. I mean, I'd run a household. That's probably similar to running a small business, but I hadn't run a particular business, hadn't really been involved with politics before council, but I had been involved in my community.
Serving and just even running for political office changes your life and is the best leadership development experience anybody can have, but particularly women.
If there was anything you were to say to a younger woman who maybe is playing around with the idea of throwing her hat in the ring, what would you advise?
If I can do it, you can do it. There's nothing too special about me. I'm a hard worker, and that's probably my positive talent I've got. So if I can get in and do this, you can too.
Because my granddaughters are very happy that they can now see that, oh, this is a possibility.
I do visualize us all, many of us, as being racehorses that have just been stuck in the starting gate, and now that gate's open and we're just ready to go.
it was such a pleasure for me to speak to so many amazing, inspiring women from all across the state for this story. And there were so many more I wasn't able to include. For instance, newly inducted Vineyard Mayor Julie Fulmer wrote to me and said, it's so amazing for her to watch this shift happen during her time serving the community. If you'd like to see the full story, it'll be posted on our website, fox13now.com.